Hi there, my name's Kara. I'm a nutritionist and intuitive eating counselor, and today we are talking about why you can't stop thinking about food. When you can't stop thinking about food, we call this food preoccupation. This can involve just thinking about food constantly, planning your next meals, dreaming of food. It can also be reading cookbooks, watching cooking shows. Personally, when I was in my deepest into dieting, I watched the Food Network constantly. I don't think I changed the channel on my TV for a year. In fact, I'm pretty sure I lost my remote and I was like, it's okay, I only watch one channel anyway. Also talking about food with others, looking up recipes, etc. So these activities are definitely not inherently negative at all. It's when it totally takes over your mind and leaves no room for other things, no other interests, no hobbies. Then it crosses into food preoccupation versus just an interest or a hobby in food. So 5 reasons you may be experiencing food preoccupation. The first is restriction or not eating enough. So this can be intentional, as with a restrictive diet, whether that is focusing on cutting back on calories or specific foods like carbs or something. So when you are not eating enough, even slightly under eating, your body is like, whoa, there must not be food available, which causes an increase in your drive for food because your body wants to survive, both hormonally and mentally. So increases in hormones like ghrelin, which increases your appetite. And if you are ignoring that increased appetite, you are just going to be thinking about food even more. The solution for this is easier said than done. If you've been dieting for a really long time and are having a really hard time letting go of the dieting mentality, this can require a lot of mental rewiring. I, of course, recommend going the intuitive eating route to help you break free from dieting. I have lots of free resources for you for this, as well as a course called How to Make Eating Easy, Intuitive Eating Foundations. And if you use code YouTube, you get $50 off. So I highly recommend checking that out. It is much more affordable than one-on-one counseling and is a great place to start. And then the unintentional cause of not eating enough may be just a chaotic eating schedule. Maybe you're barely eating in the first half of the day, then feel like you're overeating at night. This is very common. If it is truly unintentional, it just means taking a look at your schedule, at your food planning habits, and making sure you're eating enough, eating regularly. So every 3 to 5 hours typically feels the best for most people. The second thing is not having an emotional outlet or release. If there's something going on in your life causing emotions to come up for you that you are not ready or equipped to deal with, often we will look for something we feel like we can control and focus on. For some, this takes the form of restricting, as it did in my case and for many of my clients, which, as we just said, causes food preoccupation, or food may become the emotional outlet itself. So in the description of this video, I have a free guide for you all about the causes of emotional eating and how to overcome them. So be sure to download that. Similar to an emotional outlet, the third reason you may be experiencing food preoccupation is high stress. So when your body is in constant fight or flight mode, which is when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, never having a chance to slow down, we see an increase in the stress hormone cortisol, which the body interprets as an increased need for calories, for energy, so we're able to fight or flee. This can be experienced as thinking about food all the time with that increased drive for food. Now, for some people, when they are stressed, they totally lose their appetite. So this will typically lead to going, long periods without food, then not realizing they are hungry until it's very urgent and uncomfortable. So this is what we call primal hunger. I have a blog post and a video on that I will also link in the show notes as well. The fourth cause is sleep deprivation. When we're not getting enough sleep, we have an increase in cortisol, again, the stress hormone, and also an increase in ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. Also, in this stressed, sleep-deprived state, we're going to have an increased desire for easily digestible foods, which typically mean high sugar, high carb foods, the easiest, quickest thing for our body to digest and get calories from. And these are also the foods that have much less staying power. They're not going to keep you full for very long. So of course, the solution to this is also easier said than done, but taking a look at your schedule and seeing where you can cut back, where you can adjust your nighttime or your morning habits to make sure you are getting adequate sleep. I really cannot stress the importance of this enough. This is something I always work on with clients. It will make an unimaginable difference in how you experience food and eating and your relationship with food when you are well rested. The last reason goes along with the first one of restriction dieting, but the last one is food rules. So having rules for yourself about what, when, and how you should and shouldn't eat. So the reason food rules cause food preoccupation is something called the forbidden fruit syndrome. So when you tell yourself or someone else is telling you that you can't have something, it's going to be all you can think about. The human brain is wired more for wanting than liking. By this, I mean that more of your brain is activated when fantasizing about something, especially things that you tell yourself you're not supposed to eat, than when you actually eat it. And there are so many other effects of having rules about food. It causes an all or nothing mentality. So when you perceive that you have broken one of your food rules, it's very common to say, today is already ruined. I may as well eat all of that thing that I have available because tomorrow I'm going to start over and I'm going to be good. It's that my diet starts tomorrow mentality. And the much easier said than done solution to letting go of food rules is giving yourself unconditional permission to eat, which is in itself one of the principles of intuitive eating. So there's a whole process that I go through with my clients to do this. And it can take a long time if you have been dieting for a long time. And giving yourself unconditional permission to eat all foods means systematically breaking these food rules. So foods stay scary when we continue to avoid them and tell ourselves that they're off limits. So to take your power back really and make the foods just not that big of a deal, because at the end of the day, it's just food, even though it can feel like it has so much power over you. And that is a very valid feeling. So to make them not that big of a deal, we have to eat them, tell ourselves they are available when we want them, breaking those food rules and offering yourself compassion when it feels scary. If this is something you need help with, you will want to watch my next video, which is